Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is the third video in our video about DOM manipulation and just the DOM in general. So in the first video we kind of set up and just kind of introduced what the DOM was. In the second video we talked about how to select individual elements of the DOM. Now in this video we're going to talk a little bit more about the actual individual manipulations we can do. So I'm going to get rid of 90% of this. And I'm going to clean out this HTML, and we're just going to have an H1 just to start off with. Okay, and I'm going to select that H1, so document, let's create a variable to hold it. Okay, H1 document dot query selector H1. So we have our H1 in there, and then what I'm going to do is do H1 dot inner text equals, this is the H1. Okay, cool, that's the H1. And now keep in mind, like, you don't generally write your entire HTML through JavaScript like this. I mean, you kind of do that with like libraries like React, Angular, but we're just showing you this to show you sort of what you can do with the JavaScript. You're going to see later on when we talk about events, a lot of these manipulations usually occur when something happens. So you're going to say, hey, someone clicked the button and I want to change the text to that H1, and that's kind of where a lot of this plays out. You'll write your sort of the initial state of the site in your HTML more than likely. Okay, so this is the H1. Let me just get rid of that capital H. Okay, so let's talk about ways we could style this. Okay, we could style it directly. Okay, every node has a style object, which are direct inline styles. Okay, and any CSS property you can think of is accessible through here. Okay, so for example, the text color. Okay, so I can say the text color equals blue. And see, it changes the color blue. H1 dot style dot. Now background color, when you write it in CSS, it usually looks like this, but not in JavaScript. In JavaScript, all the CSS hyphenated properties become camel case. So background color becomes this. Okay, and that will equal, we'll say, we'll keep that blue, and we'll change this to white. And say now we have a background color of blue. This is H1. You know, you can basically imagine any CSS property that you've dealt with, you could just do this with. You can manipulate it directly there, which gives you a lot of power to like hide things, to show things, to position things. Just imagine it. You just change the right style properties, and you can do it straight from your JavaScript. This is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just add a class. Okay, so I'll get rid of those, and we'll just say h1.classList.add. This allows you to add a class. So we'll just add a class called cheese. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we'll create a CSS file. So I'm going to create a style.css, and then I'll go back to my index.html. Let's link up that CSS file, link CSS. So style.css, it's linked up. And then I can define that class cheese style, because again, I'm using CSS, so I'm now using that CSS selector for class. And I can do the same thing. Background color blue, color white. Cool. And there you go. You styled the thing. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Now where this gets kind of fun is when you start using like variables to define styles and whatnot. You know, so maybe someone chooses from a drop-down list, and you assign color based on their selection from a drop-down list. That's where you can really start having some fun with this. But yeah, that's how you style elements. Pretty straightforward, right? Yeah, so I'll leave it at that.